So what do you think your younger self would have wanted to know how you became now?
Oh, well, so my younger self wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be a triple threat on Broadway. And my mom goes, that's really hard. And so I went into politics. Go figure that one. But I think, and now I'm involved in the community theater and I play at open mic nights and I jam with some friends. So all the things like, don't worry about you not having a profession in the creative arts, which is something you love. It fuels you now. You will have an opportunity to express that and experience that, even though you didn't go into that line of. That was a good question, Nick. Do you do this for a living?
I I went with what you go with, which is you're bringing people back to a moment in their lives that has an impact on them. And there's a purpose that that behavior served for people, for you, for all of us as a youngster to cope and to get us through all the grades until high school and then college and then after college and then working. And then we get our experience. And you're certainly a person who loves to have an experience and is not too worried about the hardest thing I struggle with when working with young people is to let them understand, to really embody what a growth mindset is. You're going to make some mistakes. You're going to mess up, but you've got to learn from that. And you cannot become devastated, which is where it always brings you back to these young kids, these Gen Z kids, and whoever comes afterwards. They are devastated where they over exaggerate, they catastrophize things that have gone on in their lives, which doesn't need to happen. What you've been able to do is you've taken an event, something that's happened while you were growing up as a young adult, as an employee working as an adult, and you've been able to adapt and be as resilient as you are and reframe and cognitively reframe and emotionally reframe and then provide a structure for all that and then really like guide people through this. And that this is where, again, I'm going to go back to just watching the work and hearing what you've been able to accomplish. It's just extraordinary. And I want to thank you for the quality of the thinking that you've brought to this conversation today, because what's going to stay with me, and I suspect what will stay with a lot of the listeners, is the fundamental reframe that you've offered, that what we've been treating as a flaw, as evidence of something missing, is actually something far more intelligent than that. It's a strategy. It has a history, it has a logic, and it deserves to be understood rather than fought. Because here's
Yes.
what I think that reframe makes possible. When you stop treating the pattern as the enemy, you stop spending your energy trying to eliminate it before you're allowed to move. You stop
Yes.
waiting to feel ready. You stop
Yes.
outsourcing to the absence of discomfort and you start doing something much harder and much more honest. You start learning to lead from exactly where you are with exactly what's present without needing it to look different than it does. That is not a small ask, but it's the right one. What I also want to acknowledge is the courage you embedded in what you modeled throughout your life, really letting the pattern be visible rather than contained, because everything in us, when we're activated, wants to make it look like it isn't happening. There's a denial factor. And you made the other choice and something opened up because of it. And that's leadership, not in spite of the vulnerability, through it. For everyone listening, if something specific that they are learning from you, it just has a greater level of impact because you're presenting it and you're living proof of it. So I just want to thank you
Thank you.
for all that you've
Thank you for
mentioned.
saying all that. And it made me think of 2 points. One is for those Gen Z listeners and for those Gen Z that you are working with, people quite honestly won't remember what happened that had you fail. What they're always going to remember is how you dealt with it. Did you spiral, go inward, or did you ask for support? Did you contemplate, reflect on your actions and see what you could have done differently? Did you take yourself out of that situation because it wasn't healthy with you for you? Everyone's eyes are going to be on you, but they're not going to remember what happened. They're going to remember how you rose to the occasion and dealt with it after the fact. The second thing to remember, practice, 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 then wail. It takes so much practice. It's not as if you're going to see one pattern and then bye-bye, see you. The brain's going to go, wait a minute, you thought you saw that pattern. I'm going to mess with you even further, and I'm going to test you again to see how good you did the last time. So if we can keep in perspective that the moment we discern something, the moment we identify something, the moment we unpack something and ask ourselves, okay, next time, how would I deal with this? How would I want to show up? The universe is going to go, well, let's practice that one. Always, always, always remember we're human and we're practicing. We're not machines. We're not AI. We're not robots. We don't make one mistake and then learn and never do it again. There's going to be other situations, people, circumstances that will try your very last nerve. And it's going to be, how do you show up in that moment? You can,
Appreciate everything you've just mentioned. It's how you recover and how you come back
yes,
and what you've
yes.
learned. Uh, Again, I want to thank you for being here, Jen. What's the best way for people to find you? I know I'll put it on the screen later on.
Yeah, yeah. So I would say three ways. One, it's easy. It's jencoken.com, JENCOKEN.com to find out more about me. You can send me an email, jen@jencoken.com. And then if you want to see what your particular flavor of imposter phenomenon is to help you discern what that brain pattern was, just go to jencokenquiz.com. And it's like a 2-second imposter syndrome decoder where you can go, oh, this is where, I'm more of a perfectionist. Where did that come from? And start tracing that back.